Good morning, everyone. My name's Debbie Mann, and I'm with Festivals and Events Ontario. We're excited to be bringing you another Tuesday Talks here on our Zoom platform. A couple of notes again, we are recording this. If you, this is being recorded. Two, if you have any questions, feel free to do one of two things. Either enter your question into the chat room and I will read it out to Gilbert, or you can unmute yourself or raise your hand and I'll call on you and you can ask your question directly. So we're looking forward to this. I'm so excited to introduce you to Gilbert Estephan from FanExpo Canada. And he's going to be our speaker today. And I'm pretty excited because this is a big event that happened just recently in Toronto. So, Gilbert, welcome to our Tuesday Talks and being on the speaking side of it as opposed to the listening side. So, thanks for joining me.
Thank you so much, Debbie, and I appreciate the kind invitation to speak today to everyone and our members. It's nice to be on the other side to be able to share some of our great experiences and best practices coming out of, well, we're still in the pandemic, but slowly coming out of the pandemic. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. So, Liz, tell me, we were talking a little bit earlier, like what was the time frame that you had to put this together? I mean, you usually have a year to kind of figure all this out. What happened on your end?
Well, it really, it took us, I would say that we've been planning the event for quite some time. However, slowly putting plans together in hopes that the show would be able to move forward. But as every event partner knows here, lots of friends in the room today, thank you for joining us today, understand that you're unable to necessarily sort of plan a full-scale event given the pandemic and given the unprecedented situation that we're in. But truly, FanExpo Canada limited edition event was planned in a merely 4 weeks to opening day. And it was definitely a daunting task, but not unsurmountable because of the partnerships that we had and the collaborations that we had in market that helped us reach that milestone. So, definitely sleepless nights, 24 hours a day, we were working around the clock to put this event on. And not just us as the event group, but and it's a very small group, as you all can imagine. We're wearing many different hats, but really 4 weeks of intense planning. I've never thought that putting on a show in 4 weeks for this magnitude of a show would ever happen, let alone planning it in 4 weeks. So
this is kind of like Survivor on the festival and event world, right?
Oh, yes, perfect. Yeah, perfect analogy. It's definitely survival mode. And I think all of our partners were also in that position, being trying to survive and trying to get through this event. So it's been definitely a great experience and something definitely, something for the books. Absolutely.
I'm excited to hear about the story because, you're having to bring in the venue, the suppliers, the vendors, the public, the celebrities, the money. Like, I'm just excited to hear how you made this happen and what the results were, like from attendance to attendance and the whole process. So, yeah, I'm excited about this. I want to ask lots of questions, but I don't want to get ahead of your presentation here. So,
these are all very important questions. And happy to share sort of the brought us to this level and how we were able to execute the event. But I would like to share the presentation briefly, and I know that it would generate some additional questions and commentary and feedback, which I'm thrilled and happy to answer. So if I may, maybe perhaps kick off with the presentation and provide all of our members and friends that are on this call sort of an overview of what FanExpo Canada is for those of people that don't know who we are. We are an annual comics, sci-fi, horror, anime, and gaming convention in the city of Toronto. We have a series of different shows across Canada and the US, but this is our flagship event. We are proud Ontarians, proud Torontonians, and happy to, we certainly bring the comic culture and the pop culture scene to the province of Ontario. So I'm going to, I believe my screen is shared. I am still
Yep, you're good.
Presentation?
Yep.
Okay, I'm just going to minimize the screen here. Okay. All right, so welcome back to Toronto. I never thought I would say that, but this pandemic has certainly provided us with this opportunity to be able to say that again, and we're thrilled that people have came back and joined us. My name is Gilbert Estephan, and I'm the festival and show director for this event. I oversee FanExpo Canada, Toronto Comic Con, and our FanExpo holiday market. So we do have 3 shows in the market, one during March break, that's our Toronto Comic Con event. And FanExpo Canada typically happens in the summertime at the end of August. We've had to, edit and update this event. It's called the limited edition event, meaning that we had limited edition tickets, limited experiences and programming. And then we also have an event in December. It's our holiday market. It's customary for FanExpo and the Informa Group to start off with an acknowledgement, and I'd like to take this time to share our insights. And I'll speak on behalf of Festival Events Ontario. I'm a proud member of FEO, so I'd like to share this acknowledgement with all of you. Festival and Events Ontario recognizes that its work and the work of its community partners that take place on traditional Indigenous territories across the province. We acknowledge that there are 46 treaties and other agreements that cover the territory now called Ontario. We are grateful to be able to work and live in these territories. We are thankful to the First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people who have cared for these territories since time immemorial and who continue to contribute to the strength of Ontario and to all communities across the province. From coast to coast, we acknowledge the ancestral and unceded territory of all Inuit, Métis, and First Nations people that call this land home. We do this to reaffirm our commitment and responsibility in improving relationships between nations and to improving our own understanding of local Indigenous people and their cultures. FanExpo HQ would like to also acknowledge that its offices located in Toronto on the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit.
Thanks for that, Gilbert. It's beautiful.
In addition to the event, really, FanExpo Canada Limited Edition and all the events that follow suit are pre-event, prior to us. None of this event would have been possible without the strong support of the sector as a whole, including FEO, CAM, and all the member associations that FanExpo and Informa belongs to. We are proud members of all these associations and partners in industry sectors. So thank you for all your advocacy work, your relentless, tireless efforts in getting us to where we need to be. and really to the residents of Ontario, this great province of ours that has allowed us to get to this point where we can safely host an event. I would be remiss to also not mention all of our healthcare heroes, our essential workers, our frontline workers that really was there on the front lines to help us get through this really challenging time for our industry, including the residents of Ontario who's made it possible for us to gather in celebration of fandom and in celebration of the event sector as a whole. So thank you to all of you. And I know that there's so many other organizations and associations that are not listed here. But thank you. I think that it really resonates and has been a resounding success for us. So FanExpo Canada Limited Edition is our show, and the show goes on, right? It goes on thanks to all the great support that we received over the course of the last 19 months, and we continue to leverage these sort of partnerships as we move forward. I wanted to give you a sort of a taste of what FanExpo Canada is. For those of you who've never attended our events, bear with me. I'm just going to share my screen on a video that is from one of our partner media partners.
Made a welcome return to Toronto this year after skipping last year because of the COVID-19 pandemic. The convention that celebrates all things comics, movies, gaming, sci-fi, and horror had to scale back a little bit this year to make it COVID safe, but still as fan-friendly and fun as possible.
It's a little different because we all look a little different. I mean, we're used to being creative, but everyone's wearing masks. We're keeping our distance a little bit more. I mean, everyone's just approaching the event with a little bit more sense of responsibility.
Along with all the COVID protocols that have become the norm for all events, the expo was billed as a limited edition this year.
It's a bit more of an exclusive opportunity for people to come and see, a little bit more curated, and so yeah, a little bit. It's a limited ticket release as well, obviously to make sure we're adhering to all provincial and all the necessary guidelines.
One thing that hasn't changed though is the enthusiasm of the fans.
Really, the fans are the stars of the show. I mean, this is a community-driven event. We love to get together and unite under fandom.
Their sheer dedication to their chosen fandom was on full display. As with previous years, many spent a lot of time putting together their cosplay ensembles.
It took me 3 months to do this because I have kids at home, so I did it when they were sleeping.
4 years, but on and off, yes.
2 months maybe.
I can't quite quantify the actual amount of time.
Many said they were eager to get back to the convention after an extended gap and pulled out all the stops for their costumes.
We've been missing it for 2 years because of the pandemic, so this year I went full out.
It's the first time being back in almost 2 years, so I kind of wanted to go big or go home.
I feel starved. I never got a chance to show all this off.
Because we didn't get to go last year, it's like, well, I gotta go extra hard this year.
And despite the masking, distancing, and reduced capacity, those who attended said they still felt the magic.
It's just nice to see everyone in their cosplays and people enjoying themselves again. Like, it makes me feel really like back to normal as normal can get.
It's fun to come back and I just enjoy the stuff we used to do.
It feels the same. Even with masks, it's so good to finally be able to see everyone in like cosplay and gathering together so that we can all kind of be geeks. Finally.
I love it this year. It's amazing. I haven't been here in a long time.
For more from FanExpo, including a gallery of impressive cosplayers, you can go to our website, toronto.citynews.ca. For City News, I'm Dilshad Burman.
I love that the reporter was dressed up too.
Just one moment here. Oh, thank
You're
you.
back.
Am I back with the presentation?
Yeah, you might want to put it on slide view, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Oh, there you go.
And just bear with me.
No problem.
All right.
Those are your notes. Sorry.
You don't see the presentation?
No, not yet. I see your notes.
Just. Okay, everyone, I'll be right with you. Just going to.
No problem. Does anybody have any comments or anything they'd like. That was a great presentation. While you're looking, I just want to say that was a great video and representation of what it is that your event is all about, and it was fun watching it. So I'm a neophyte to this world, don't know anything about it, but it looks exciting. So I have something to do next year.
Okay, can you see my screen again?
Sure can. You're back.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you for your patience. You know,
You're welcome.
we you know, these things happen, you know, if we can't sort of, you know, appreciate and be patient, and, you know, these sort of this pandemic has certainly taught us to be patient. So thank you so much for your patience.
You're welcome.
Okay, yes. So yes, we'd love to invite everyone to FanExpo in 2022. We have an event, like I mentioned, in March, Toronto Comic Con. So certainly, and hopefully that we'll be able to host our event. Let's continue to monitor and see how this pandemic fares out for us for 2022. So apart from just the great cosplay and our fans that come to our event, we do host other elements within our show. And, you know, our goal here is to sort of provide the ultimate fan experience for everyone, whether you are a geek, someone who's interested in fandom, didn't think you were interested in fandom, but, you know, this sort of inspired you to come check it out. We do offer so many different elements to our event. Through our retailers, we have an artist alley. These are aspiring artists in the comic world and illustrations. We have workshops and seminars, a full retailer area. You can purchase anything from $1 to close to $25,000 of comic books that are, you know, the limited edition comic books and gold and silver comics. We have sketch duels, we have family zones, we have red carpets, Q&A panels, and really the stars of our show, as Andrew, who you saw on the screen, is our vice president of the FanExpo HQ, mentioned that the stars truly of our shows are our community. So these are also sort of key programs that we do promote, but you also see the stars of the celebrities of film and television, William Shatner, Christopher Eccleston, voice actors from your favorite game shows, gaming devices, also through various sort of our comic creators and fan groups and communities. You can shop till you drop. You have Q&A panels. We featured the Trailer Park Boys this year. Charles Martinet, the voice of Super Mario. He was just brilliant. And then we brought in people from through our YouTube experience. It's called the HoloLive VTuber Tour, direct from Japan. So we featured them on stage, and it was a very well attended event. I had to do this. You know, William Shatner back from space. You know, I couldn't resist but to use that airplane and that sound. It was a delight to bring him back. He celebrated 90 years this year, his 90th birthday tour, what we pegged it as, and came back from space and talked to his fans all about it. It was a packed house in a very socially distant experience. That, you know, our Canadian superstar and hero, William Shatner. As I mentioned, we had a family zone of fun for the whole family. There's opportunities, Wizarding World experiences, the sorting hat ceremony by, you know, the Harry Potter franchise, and the like. In addition, we also had a series of different partnerships and collaborations. And the next couple of slides is really just to highlight, you know, some of those collaborations that we did. You know, over the past 19 months of the pandemic, we developed a robust communication infrastructure to help us to facilitate ways that we can stay relevant and ready and prepared as soon as the economy reopened. We joined and actively participated in various associations, organizations, our committees, virtual conferences, events, FEO. We're a new member of FEO this past year. I mean, I've been a member in the past in my previous life, but FanExpo was thrilled to join FEO this year. So we work closely with our past and present community partners, corporate partners, tourism partners. And over the course of the year, we've held brainstorming and knowledge sharing sessions to stay connected and supported each other while navigating the uncertainties we all face. So these partnerships were really stemmed from this year. We hosted a 5K run on the Toronto Island as well, believe it or not, on top of everything else. Now, this is a third-party group that we work with that leverages our brand, and this is sort of a joint collaboration. A 5K run on Toronto Island. We had the most participants ever in the last 3 years, and we had both an in-person and a virtual run. So this one did happen at the Toronto Island, and we had over 400 participants. People are obviously, they're tired of being at home. So it was an outdoor, it was a safe environment, and everybody, as you can tell there in the pictures, people do dress up, and it was a success overall. We also had partnerships. You know, I must stress the importance of collaboration. I mean, we live and breathe it. And with FanExpo and all of our shows that we do within our portfolio, these partnerships are important. The restaurant industry has suffered a lot through the pandemic, just as we all did in all of our ecosystem of partners. But the restaurant industry relies heavily on people coming to our events. So I, urge you to work with the Restaurants Canada, your local BIAs, your restaurant associations and groups within your regions, and establish partnerships with them. We came up with the FanExpo Eats program. We've had many partners in the past, but we wanted to focus on some of our key partners that really stepped up to the plate this year in terms of assisting us with programming and just in terms of, an overall experience to our fan base. So Stormcrow Manor, the Pint and Escape Manor, they offered incentive discounts. So, you flash your badge, you got some discounts. So encourage you to do that. We also have partnerships with Treat Accessibly. It's an accessible trick-or-treating program, movement, I should say. That is a movement that started in 2017. I encourage everyone, if you want more information, there will be a PowerPoint deck that will be shared. And if you click on all of these images, you'll be able to connect to the sites. They've been all hyperlinked. All of our logos, all of the partners that I have on this site have been hyperlinked to their facility. So if there's any of these people that you'd like to work with, be in touch with me or connect with them directly. I'm happy to broker an opportunity. We also had an opportunity to work with our transportation partners. You have to come to the show, and how best to do it, save the environment, but partnering with your local transportation groups. We partnered with Metrolinx, and we had a incentive program called Go with FanExpo. And as you can tell, we've made sure that we spoke to our fans. We didn't just put a train on our website. We, decaled it with like superheroes. I mean, visually, of course, not so much physically. That's something that we're looking to partner with in the future. But these partnerships pay huge dividends. Everybody wants to rebuild. And it's not just about the event itself. It's important to collaborate with everyone as you see fit, really, truly. And, building the tourism economy is very important to us. And we are huge advocates of this and want to see more of these collaborations to happen across. Partnerships and collaborations leading up to the event is equally important. It's not just about the event that you're hosting. Make sure that you're reaching out to your partners. These are two partnerships that we work with, Indigo at Penguin Random House and the Toronto International Festival of Authors. We had competitions, we had author series and the like. These are ways to continue to help generate and provide opportunities for your fans to engage with you throughout the year, 365 year, virtual or in person. In addition, thank you to Debbie, Ray, and Dave for allowing us to take over your Instagram feed during FanExpo Canada. I encourage everyone to do it. It's such a great opportunity to be able to share your experience, share your event with the members, participating members. So thank you for this wonderful opportunity. In addition, contactless experiences, focus on building an app for your event. I know that these apps can be costly, but there are cost-effective solutions out there in the marketplace. Speak to us. We'd be happy to sort of guide you in some of those experiences and partners that we've worked with. And obviously sharing, having your fans share and talk about your event is equally important. So this is sort of an overview of who we are and what we've done and the partnerships that we work with over the course of the year. Truly during the pandemic, it's really about focusing on the experience factor and on the human factor. That's what we set out to do, and just to help us sort of get through this daunting pandemic. The human factor is the most important piece of this. Content experience plays an important role as well, but the human factor is very important to us. So really the crux of this presentation, it will be focused on the All Secure FanExpo. And this is sort of a, All Secure is I would say our health and safety guidelines that has been secured and put together by Informa, our main company, that developed a set of measures to deliver the highest levels of hygiene and safety for our event. And so this is our brand, and these are sort of the key guidelines that we put together. So Debbie, do you have any questions there that you'd like to, or should I continue to keep going?
I am kind of curious as to the feedback you got from your, both from your attendees as well as the people who were behind, like your vendors and what kind of feedback did you have from them? Because I just think this was such a, people are starving for these things and that human contact again. So yeah. That's it. Did you have any challenges to getting people to come out?
No, actually, obviously you'll always have your naysayers in the business, or fans that are not comfortable coming out, and that's okay. Everybody's on their own journey. Especially we've been locked up in our homes. The level of comfort coming out of your home after being, socially distanced for 19 months is very challenging. Not everyone feels comfortable with it. And still to this day, people are still reserved. So, we made it very clear to our fan base and our partners that it's really your comfort. We're going to make it as comfortable as possible based on the knowledge and regulations that both the city and the province and levels of government have put into place, and that we would operate safely. Obviously, our partners and our venue host, the Metro Toronto Convention Centre, has been closed for quite some time, really just up until September 25th, when we were able to host an event. So working with our venue hosts and our partners, they've been a long-term partner of ours, and ensuring that we had a safety protocol in place and communicating that safety protocol was the most important thing that we've done to show that we are following every guideline to ensure their safety. So people turned up. We sold out. We sold out based on the limited ticket release. So we were thrilled that people came. They respected the guidelines. They were all in compliance. We had to address a few people here and there, but on the most part, we didn't have to ask anyone to leave our event, which is unbelievable. The people that were there wanted to be there. So we're grateful for our fans that did show up.
And when you say limited edition, what number is that? Like, what would your attendance normally have been versus your limited edition?
So for FanExpo Canada, our pre-pandemic shows have been upwards of 125,000 people in 4 days.
Oh my gosh!
Right. So, and I know the MTCC is on the line here, and thank you for joining us, Sabrina. Appreciate your partnership and your support. And she can vouch and tell you that when people come to our event, they are lined up. They don't mind waiting in lines, right? They are shoulder to shoulder. The limited edition show that we hosted was a limited capacity event. We had to obviously work within the guidelines that we were prescribed by the province and within the meeting and event space regulation. So we had about, I would say about 20,000, just a little under that, over the course of the 3 days. And obviously we monitored, we monitored the capacity in both of our buildings. We took the north building at the Metro Toronto Convention Center and the south building, and we ensured that sufficient distancing was available. You saw on the video earlier about, in terms of space, we didn't have any seating at our event, so it allowed for people to safely gather and sit in social distancing circles. We created these experiences, and again, I'll walk you through some of those elements within the show.
Wow! All right. Well, that's quite a challenging number, but it's exciting that, like, to me, 20,000 is a lot. But when you look at it from 100,000 down to 20, that had to be, the thought process that you had to put into that, the creative thought process to make that happen.
Definitely, it didn't happen. It happened sort of organically, but with a lot of support from industry partners. We couldn't have done this by ourselves. I mean, we relied on all of our event partners. The city, the province, associations, everyone came together and really banded together to make this work and make it happen. Everyone was excited about it. So forever grateful for all of our partners who participated. So with respect to our event and health and safety plan, obviously we had to, the reason why we're able to host it was that all of our fans had to be vaccinated. So proof of vaccination in line with our with the mandate of the Ontario government. We actively screened for COVID-19 prior to entering to the facility through contact tracing. So there was a list of contact tracing questions that we had to work with. That information, just as a reminder that when you are doing contact tracing, be sure that you hold on to this information, for at least 30 days, maybe longer. But that is a recommended prescribed number of days that you hold on to this information. And we have books and books and books, let me tell you. So, and again, keep them in a secure place as noted for privacy matters. All of our attendees must show a proof of vaccination to enter. And we also did random checks for anyone claiming to be 12 years and younger. So just to ensure that anyone entering the facility and entering our event was adhering by the policies in place. All of our staff, volunteers, and exhibitors and guests we had a different policy for them, given the fact that our exhibitors are considered workers, and that falls within the Ontario regulations. A proof of vaccination at least 14 days before the show, or a negative COVID-19 test 48 hours prior to the event. In addition, because we have celebrity guests and staff flying in from the US, we also had a on-site testing service by HCP Diagnostic. They did an antigen test for those that require the antigen and PCR test to go back to the US. So that's something to keep in mind if you have any international or US guests that are coming in, to be sure that truly deliver that experience. You know, if you want people to go back safely, make sure that you offer the service. There is a cost associated with it, but it's minimal. It's really just for the safety of the guests that you're bringing in. On the first day of our event, the Verify Ontario app was activated. So we were the lucky few events that was able to deploy and test it out. And let me tell you that people, the fans, although we were pushing and promoting this app, it wasn't timely for our event. However, we did have the iPads in place to check the QR codes, and but most of our fans came with their digital copy and a proof of their vaccination.
So Gilbert, there was a question, and I think you've answered it, but hello there, how did you handle proof of double vaccination? I imagine it must have slowed down entry into the show. What about in and out privileges? Did they have to show proof each time, or did you deploy some sort of wristband or hand stamp?
We did actually, and I'll walk you through the few other slides here just to give you sort of an understanding for the benefit of the group.
There is another question to follow that, and it may be in your slide, but are you able to share percentage of online ticket sales versus walk-up?
We didn't do any walk-ups at our event. It was all in advance. So that was our message. We wanted to make sure that anyone that was planning on coming to the event, they plan safely. So there was no walk-ups at our event. It was advanced online sales only. And again, it's important because anyone who's planning to come to the event must plan in advance. Our online ticket sales was open, so you can essentially book your ticket while you're standing in front of the ticket hall. It's easier to track as well. Contact tracing is important to us, and obviously important to during the pandemic. So. And yes, it did slow down the process, but we had enough people on hand, and we have multiple entrances to execute and provide a safe measure of entry into our event. So these are some of the best practices. I think what's important here is to communicate. I can't stress it enough. Not just over the course of the show, is to ensure that your fans are aware of what's happening. You know, we weren't ready to launch a show 3 weeks out, but during the course of the event, we kept everyone informed. You know, we were planning the event, but we weren't sure if we were going to be able to host it. So we just kept people informed. And so, and not only our fans, but all of our partners, people can attest on this line that I was reaching out to them almost daily, weekly, and monthly, just to keep them informed of, with hope and optimism, hoping that we'll be able to run an event, but no guarantees. And everyone understood it, but it's important to communicate across all your partners throughout. One thing I must say, and this is sort of part of your regulations when you're hosting an event, is that you have to have a COVID safety plan. I've put some resources down below here. These were City of Toronto resources, but there's also the Ontario Ministry of Heritage and Culture and Sport also have their own COVID safety plan. And it's an online process that you can enter. It's important for you to have that and share that with your venue host or any of the leased properties that you're working with. Have it available on hand if anyone asks for it. We haven't had anyone ask for it, except obviously sharing it with our partners. But do have that on hand, and it outlines a pretty specific document around planning your event. Really, I have to say, Debbie, that, during this entire process, I feel like I can add epidemiology to my resume now. I think I need to join Toronto Public Health because I've learned so much about public health measures that I never thought that I would be, I have my food certification, health and safety certificates, and I've gone through all the trainings because of my previous life with the CNE, food handling certificate, that sort of thing. But truly, this has got to be one of those learning curves that no one ever thought would be something that we would have to, it was part of our roster now, but, definitely a learning curve there. So, and I'll share very quickly here, these are examples of the event signage that we had on hand as well. We wanted to make sure that we were speaking to our fan base. So remember, the great signage that the city and the province and your DMOs have put together are fantastic, but make sure that it speaks to your audience, make them a little bit more engaging, get the message across without being too funny, but, in a way that people can relate. So this signage was throughout our entire event spectrum.
I think those are great.
We've had these sort of where possible, keep your distance and ensuring that people weren't gathering in areas that potentially may have been gathering locations in the past. It was people wanted to get together, so gathering was only normal. But we had to ensure that we had compliance guards available throughout the site to ensure that people were not, large gatherings were in place.
I have to say that your event in particular, really, like, just because of the costumes, they were masked up anyway. So
they were, but they had to wear a face mask as well. So we made sure
they did, eh? Okay.
Yeah, those were our policies.
Okay.
And upon entry to any of our sites, we have an area called the prop check. And what that is obviously to ensure the safety of the props that people were bringing in that were not real guns, or they weren't baseball bats, and they had to be sort of a foam-based or wood-based type of prop. That's another safety measure that we do. But as part of that process, they have to lift their mask to lift their head mask to make sure that they were masked as well. It was pretty interesting.
Wow,
Yeah.
I didn't know about that prop check. Like, that's something that you do anyway, right?
We do.
Oh, wow. Hey, I would have never even thought of that.
Yeah,
So-
well, if you think about it, people are dressed in cosplay. And they're carrying, a lot of these superheroes have, weapons. And often, it triggers, we work closely with Toronto Police as well to let them know that the event is happening and that, people will be carrying weapons, fake weapons. And just to be mindful that our event's in town. So you may likely receive calls from people saying that there's someone with a machete, just keep in mind that FanExpo's in town. So that's why we do prop checks, to ensure public safety.
Oh my. The things you don't think of.
You see?
Yeah, wow.
Yeah. So there was a question in the chat about what we did around proof of vaccination, and I hope this will answer your question. Everyone that came to the event, we did a proof of vaccination. We did the contact tracing as well element. But everyone that would, once they've been channeled through, there was a systematic process. They would check their vaccination. They would be asked the questions or point to the sign, the signs that we had for self-screening. And we're given a wristband. It was called the All Secure Superhero wristband. We didn't want to say that it was vaccinated. I mean, that's the last thing you want is someone to walk around the city or your area and your region and they have this wristband all day that says vaccinated. I mean, who wants to wear that? So try to find a way that, that tells you that this person has been vaccinated, or just use a different, color wristband every day. We decided to use this wristband and it helped. We created express entry lines for those people that have been proofed. And we were doing a lot of spot checking to make sure that those wristbands weren't tampered with. In addition, we also had our RFID technology. So all of our badge, and I know that many people within the not-for-profit sector and smaller festivals that rely heavily on volunteers, these are can be very expensive, but they don't really have to be. There's ways that you can negotiate with partners with RFID technology. However, we did have RFID badges. And so anyone that was coming to the event that bought a ticket, we have their information on hand, but they also had to activate their badges. which means that they have to put their information and contact information. And at the entry and exit points of all of our event access points, people had to tap in and tap out. So we knew at any given time who was in the building, at what time, what entrance they came through. It helped us monitor numbers and understand any of the challenges or potential contact tracing elements. So that was a pretty intense system, but we worked with everyone really. And these are our partners, really our true partners. And we work with so many others, but these are our major partners that have made this event possible. You know, I have to say thank you to the Metro Toronto Convention Center, who is our venue host and a long-term partner of the Informa brand. So they also had challenges of their own. As I mentioned earlier at the beginning of my conversation, that they had opened the event, their facility to host events just a week prior to us arriving. They had a B2B event happening in the North Building. So, kudos to them for being able to, activate their internal teams to make this happen. It doesn't come without its challenges, but we were all working together to collaborate. And these are sort of our other event partners as well. That are equally an important element that help us to deliver the event. Rick Davis Promotions, who's also, I believe, is a member of FEO, Boneyard Events Services, who's been instrumental in our planning of this event, in addition to our security and AV and our PR teams. And then I have to also just throw out a thank you as well to our transportation, hospitality, and tourism partners. One thing to also keep in mind that when you're bringing in people from across the region to come to your event, keep in mind that health and safety doesn't start and stop at your event, right? It goes outside of the walls of the convention center, it goes outside of the enclosure of your outdoor space, right? When people are coming to your event, you want to make sure that your hotel partners are equally invested in the process. So the Intercon, the Fairmont, the Ritz-Carlton, and the Marriott were hotel partners this year. And we do work with 5-star hotels in our markets to house our celebrity guests. That's where they want to stay. And we're happy to accommodate. But make sure that you get their health and safety cleaning standards. We posted this information on our website to communicate to our fans that are coming to stay at our events, to ensure that their safety is paramount, not just when you come to our event. But the partners that we choose will also make sure that your safety is top of mind. So Stormcrow Manor, Escape, the Pint House, they also have public health and safety measures in place. And if you click on those links, following this presentation, you'll be able to see what it is that they, what it is.
I'm just we've only got about 10 minutes left. But there are a couple of questions, and I think you're going to cover it because I went through your presentation. Was spacing an issue in booths with multiple people working them, i.e. a 10 by 10 can only have 1 or 2 people? Any limits or concerns with that issue? And then David also said, sorry for all the questions, with celebrities, were they behind plexiglass? How did it go with celebrity autographs and pictures? Did people feel like they got full value for their experience?
Yes. And I'm going to wrap this up in 2 minutes just to allow for those conversations, but I'll just go quickly here. I talked about communications. Make sure that you're communicating with your fans and exhibitors and suppliers and on a regular basis. So these are sort of event and access entry guides. So anyone who bought a ticket received information from us in terms of how to plan for their event. Reminders on social, ensuring that your mask's mandatory policy. So whenever you do email deployments to reinforce your mask mandatory through social, keeping our community safe, and be sure to thank your fans. Be sure to thank them after the event and give them a little bit of a understanding of what we do, what you do, and how best to sort of ensure that they keep coming back. Exhibitor news as well. We did newsletters that really enforced, with our exhibitor badges, for instance, we needed a proof of vaccination or a negative test. In order for these badges to be released, you needed to show your proof of vaccination and negative testing when you were wristbanded before any of these badges were released. So no one came through the event that was not checked. And again, just, also your press, make sure that your press media also understands. They are your biggest brand ambassadors. Make sure that they know what your plan is, right? And these are sort of ticket updates, kept people informed. And this document, we're thrilled and happy to share this with you. More importantly, as I mentioned, our venue host, the Metro Toronto Convention Center. We were both in the North and the South buildings. And here's an example of what we did, as a matter of fact. Through our main stage, we created these sort of social distancing areas where people can sit and maintain a safe distance from each other. These are, again, we accommodated people that required accommodation from an AODA perspective around chairs available at different stage sites. We also have, again, our distancing lines where people can sit, and they were measured. Thank you, BES, for doing that for us. The Bonard events helped us with this. And as you can tell as well, we had to work within the 50% capacity and 2-meter distancing rule. So we ensured that, again, AODA compliance was there through accommodation, and we posted the occupancy limit. These are examples as well of social distancing in terms of line controls. It doesn't have to be stanchions. It can be lines, red and white lines, tapes. Again, our entry points. Again, we had our social distancing. These are lines. Again, maintaining and ensuring that there's safe and accessible areas. And there's your plexiglass question. So yes, we did have plexiglass throughout the entire event. All of our celebrities were behind plexiglass. They were, most of them were masked. Some people didn't want to have the mask on for pictures, but they were behind a plexiglass. But I would say that 95% of our celebrities were masked. All of our admin offices as well, information booths, any sort of public facing touch points had also these plexiglass around. And then finally, with the convention center, there's multiple partners within the convention center. So important to work with those partners. Like Beyond Monet is currently in Hall C. And then there's also Toronto Vaccination Clinic. So we sent people that weren't vaccinated wanted to come to an event. They can go and get vaccinated at the North Building. So we were proponents and definitely pushing people there. And then this just gives you sort of an overview. I mean, planning is important. We are planners after all. So where are the proof of vaccination entry points, where they tap to exit, where they tap to entry. And then I think we're the only show I would say, that we use the South Building loading ramp as our ticketing hall. That's the volume of people that we deal with. So we want to make sure that everyone is safe and has sufficient distancing measures. We built an entire ticketing hall in the South loading docks. You would never know because we dress it up so nicely. And then some planning resources, and finally, the shows that we do participate. So as you can see with Toronto Comic Con, normally our total attendance is around 35,000 people and 125,000 for FanExpo Canada.
Great presentation. Thank you. So Kyle said, these are great questions, David, and this is military level precision on your safety planning and implementation. It's fantastic to hear. So that was so great and so informative. Does anybody have any questions? Feel free to unmute and ask Gilbert anything that you have. I'm just it's heartening to know that our industry has a way to come back, and that there's leaders like you who are helping to lead the way for those of us, chomping at the bit to get back to whatever the new norm is. And so Greg says, go ahead. Did you want to comment?
No, I just wanted to say that, again, it's really a team effort. Everyone rallied, and it's because of the people that we work with that made it possible. We couldn't do it. I can't do it by myself, definitely, but the team at FanExpo HQ and Forma and all of our sector partners, they've been really the true champions of this, and that's why we're able to host it. Yes, it requires precision planning. I agree. But not only just from a health and safety perspective, I have to say, but from a health and safety in normal times is required for an event of this magnitude. I mean, you see what happened in the US. That is not something that we want to hang our hat on. Obviously, no event planner wants to have to deal with situations like this. And so we try to mitigate every potential risk, and we work closely. We have an emergency preparedness plan that we have risk assessment plans that we build. We never want to we don't want to be in the media about situations that happen in the US or any other country, as a matter of fact. So that's important. You have to look at every element of safety and security. Otherwise, there's no point in hosting it because, it's difficult.
Allison, did you have a question? Oh, you're muted if you do. Okay. Are you able to share the name of the badge system supplier? Great. And that's Greg McPherson. And he said, great presentation, encouraging.
Yes, I'm happy to share that information. If Jay can share your information with me, I'd be happy to connect with you on that further.
And I will be sending out this presentation later today, along with a link to this presentation. And Kyle said, very smart using the loading ramp in the south building for a lineup entry. Yeah. Who knew?
Who knew?
Who knew? It's about seeing new things and new points of entry and new creative ways to get people. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, using the self-loading docks stemmed from a situation that happened quite some time ago with the lineups were extended around the block. And, so the solution was to use self-loading docks. I mean, it's not being used during the show anyway. It's the only time it's being used is during move in and move out, load in and load out. So why not use it, And more importantly, when you're working on a large scale event like this, you also want to make sure that you're working closely with the BIAs in your region to make sure that they're aware that this event's happening. And so blocking, it's not fair to anyone else when your event is taken over the streets and blocking other businesses. So that's where that stemmed from. And we continue to use that area to make sure that, to make sure that everyone is safe and everyone's respectful of other properties as well.
All I can say is thank you so much for spending this time with us, putting this great presentation together. And thank you everyone who attended this. I think, I don't know, I'm inspired, Gilbert. And so excited about, what the future holds for us.
I think there's so much to celebrate. I mean, your tagline on your Instagram feed, on your social media, there's always something to celebrate. Well, just having an event in a pandemic, it's like, wow, I mean, who would have thought? So, looking forward to celebrating everyone's events. I mean, I would love to attend everybody's events. And if I can make my way over there, you'll be sure to see me there and happy to share, share and be part of bringing back the events sector back live again. So thank you for the opportunity, and thank you to Dave and Debbie and Jay for your support and for everything that you're doing for the event sector.
Thank you so much. And next week we have Louise Jackson, who's going to be talking about Reconnect, and her guest is Patty Kendall of Blue Mountain Village. So we're excited to hear what Blue Mountain's been doing. Gilbert, thank you so much again. And Jay, thank you for your back end support. We look forward to seeing you all next week, and have a great week, everybody, from Festivals and Events Ontario. Bye.